right, what is going on, guys? It is time for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. Whew. Man, if you guys read the title, I was debating on what to put the title of this podcast, or this episode, I should say, not the podcast itself, the episode. You know, end of an era, that was close, midweek update, I don't know. So I'm recording this. I still haven't put the title on it. It is Wednesday at 4 a.m. June something. 28th of June. Man, it has been a rush. So thankfully, though, everything is still here and we are still going. So what are we talking about today? Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about some of the updates and things that are going on. Some big news coming out of the Husqvarna camp yesterday. Big and unfortunate news. Although we don't know all the details, we're not going to speculate on all of that stuff. We're just going to go with the positive side of things and see where this goes. So we've got that one. We've got updates on the new series that we are doing back to Baja. And then, of course, some more rally updates. I think we should have some rally updates coming here soon. As it's interesting, all the updates are coming in on my computer now as I'm just barely powering everything back on after Saturday's little, run through. Anyway. All right, let's get to it. Let's turn down this party and talk a little bit about what is going on first and foremost in the rally world. Yesterday, Tuesday morning, in an announcement from Husqvarna Factory Racing, that Skylar Howes and Husqvarna Factory Racing were parting ways. That is absolutely huge news. As mentioned in the group chat, I think that I am Team Skylar. In this one, I do support, I all of our American rally racers, all of our guys that race out there, not just the big names, Ricky, Mason, Skylar, not just those guys, but everybody. I mean, everybody that is out there putting out and on the line, getting lost on purpose. For those of you that don't know, basically in a rally raid, after the first note, you're pretty much lost, and it's up to you to navigate the map. So. It's funny to see. I see so many people walk around talking about how rally is like, I don't know, that's kind of complicated. I don't know. And then after they try it, they're like, oh, that was fun. So hopefully there's more of that spreading. But yeah, back to the news. Yeah, it is not. It was unexpected, at least for us. I don't know, how long the conversation was with the factory. But in the end, at the end of things, I think that Skylar Howes is definitely one of the sport's top ambassadors for rally. On multiple accounts, saw him get up in front of classes, get up in front of crowds, and at these events and help and coach. And I remember a Sonora rally the first year that I went and worked with those guys. Seeing him at the riders meeting, and he got up, he talked a little bit about how the new cap headings or how the cap headings work, and without a whole lot, Darren Skelton of the Sonora Rally organization had him come up and explain some of that stuff, and it was really cool. I don't know how much of that was orchestrated, but he just jumped right up there and was willing to lend a hand. After the meeting was over, he had a line of people going, and he took his time and explained things to them, and it's really, really cool. Here's a factory racer. He's got his own race to do. He's got all of his stuff to do. And, the fact that he will take time out of his busy schedule and his tight schedule to be able to help people, being approachable at the events and all of that stuff. Honestly, I love the brand, Husqvarna. It's sad to see them part ways. But at the same time, I know that Skylar he's an asset to any of the companies, any of the manufacturers that he may end up with. And hopefully we see that decision soon. We see somebody pick him up soon to the teams out there and then that are looking. I mean, he is absolutely the ambassador of the sport. He is the ambassador of the brand that he is on. He is also a hell of an athlete. So does not give up, is focused. So really, really cool. Really, really cool as the opportunities. It's you could look at it a couple of different ways. But it's going to be a big opportunity, I think, for Skylar, especially if we get him on a team. It would be cool to see him come up on a team that, that's developing, that he can, have his feedback on, have his input in, and help grow that team. I think that would really be cool. He is a racer at heart, so we want to see him out there and racing, and hopefully we can see him back out there soon, getting to it. So again, sad news. You don't want to see that kind of thing happen. We don't know all of the details. Not going to speculate on the details of why they were, but in the end, he is one positive person. He's got a great positive mentality, and he's looking forward to the next gig. So we'll see. Hopefully we get an announcement here soon out of that camp. But yeah, okay. So let's talk about Saturday. Just in time, and we'll give you a preview. We were able to get our first interview for the new series of Back to Baja, and that is with Seth Barnes from one of the teams that recently competed down there and at the Baja 500. We were able to get him on. So luckily on Saturday morning, we were able to talk. We got a great recording. You guys are going to hear that episode this Sunday. Again, it is Wednesday. But on Wednesday afternoon, after the dust had settled, everything was going, cleaning, doing the stuff. All of a sudden I get, my dad shouting out and saying something about the hill is on fire. And of course, I jump out onto the balcony. I look, I open the door, and sure enough, there it is. It's a big plume of smoke. And as far as proximity goes, I don't, when initially I didn't really know how close it was to the house, but with the how fast you see the smoke rising, I was like, this is a little closer than maybe a little close for comfort. So jumped out, went, ran downstairs, threw the helmet on, grabbed the GoPro, and walked out, rode out to the area, and it was right outside the block. If I was walking, it's literally a 4-minute walk to that. Not very far. I would say a quarter mile, a little over a quarter mile from where I live, and it was kind of interesting. We saw all of that happen, went to go figure it out. Initially, what I had heard was that it was a single vehicle that had rolled over on the road and caught fire to the area. But then ultimately ended up finding out that it was actually two vehicles. So I misspoke on that one, but it was actually two vehicles head on. And part of the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it brought up a very, very, very good point. And it was an eerie reminder, and there's all sorts of stuff that could have happened. I mean, this thing, it could have gone to the other side of the hill and been here much faster. There's a lot of stuff. And for those of you guys that know, California, San Diego, we saw some record rain here, several months ago, or in the last several months. And so things have been drying out since there hasn't been any rain, and it is prime for fire fuel. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Victor with the Chasing Waypoints podcast. Hey, super quick break in the episode. Want to talk really quick about Spotify for podcasters. If you are interested in getting your story out to the world, starting your own podcast, it is super, super simple. Head on over to spotify.com/podcasters and get all of the information. It is a one-stop shop. You can edit, you can do Q&A, you can do video podcasts, all sorts of different things in one platform. They handle all of the distribution for you, so it is super, super simple and effective. So with that being said, guys, let's get back to the episode. Well, anyway, the reminder is ride and drive right. If you're in a country where the right-hand side of the road is where you operate the vehicle, if you're on the country where you are a left-hand side of the road is where you operate normally on your vehicles, ride left. But here, at least in the U.S. And several other countries from you guys tuning in around the world, we know we got to stay on the right. And that was exactly what happened. It looks like two cars coming around a blind corner, both decided to be on the right side of the road. Well, I can tell you who was right and who was wrong on that one. And unfortunately, that turned into a fire. after the collision. Both vehicles, total loss, completely burned down to the ground, which was, it's sad to see. One of them looked like one of those Jeep mall crawler type, it's got all the fancy stuff on it. And it sucks to see that, it sucks for the loss of the vehicle and everything that happens. I don't know how that goes down as at fault or whatever, who was on the right side of the road, who was on the wrong side of the road. I just know that it's going to be a very expensive insurance claim, especially after, I don't know, I think it was like 2 helicopters, 3 helicopters. And I mean, there was a bunch of equipment out here. Cal Fire was out. San Miguel Fire was out. And it was interesting. I come around the block, and as I'm getting to the end of the block, to the main entrance of it, I got just in time, and I went and checked my GoPro, and I didn't get it. But just in time to see one of the airplanes that drop retardant come by, and it really works out really cool. It's really awesome how they do this. They will fly down nice and low, spread the retardant, and then with the propellers, cut the edges of the grass. It is absolutely crazy to see a plane that big, going that fast, being that close to the ground. Those guys are absolutely talented in what they do, and pretty insane. And not only that, here's another one is when he came, just thinking about this, when he came down into that, he had to go through the smoke to get down low enough and all that. So those guys, I don't know, hats off to them. And a big thank you. We're able to be here. I mean, I'm sure, left unchecked, I'm sure it would have worked its way through, but, thankfully there's things in place that won't let that happen. So anyway, that's going down. I decide, hey, it's time to go back to the house. Well, no sooner as I get back to the house, the sheriffs are rolling through and announcing that it is time for a evacuation. So we get in and, start packing. And that's kind of a crazy thing. You never think about it. And then I remembered my episode about, packing for adventure, and I go, oh, this is an adventure. Maybe we should be prepared a little better for packing. So with that being said, all the documents, all the things that, laptops, I literally disconnected, unplugged the studio stuff and threw it in the back of the car, went upstairs, grabbed the computer, did all these things. And it's just absolutely crazy. And the worst part about it is where I thought I had all my important documents was not where I had it. I grabbed the 3 options, and only after checking these last couple of days, I did make that a priority to, look for all the documents and stuff like that. I found out that, I grabbed everything wrong. So here we are. I now have, I'm older and wiser by a few days. And I don't want to say ready, because I hope to never be ready for the next one, because I hope there isn't a next one, but you got to be realistic about it. So if you live in an area where it is prone to wildfires, this is your reminder that you need to make sure you got a plan in place, make sure you got everything that you need. I now have a go bag that is just like my camping bag for motorcycle camping and stuff like that. Like literally I grab that bag and I know everything is in it. I got some clothes, got some things, my important documents are right next to it. So yeah. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'd never need it, but it's good to know, it makes it quicker. Because really looking at how long it took us to actually get ready and get out of the house, I don't feel like that was maybe fast enough. But again, there's only so much you can prepare for, so much you can do. Living out here, living out in the boonies or out in the areas that you're surrounded. I guess it's just that much more important to be ready for the unknown. So. Whew. Okay, so that is the update on that one, and why there was a delay this week in the episodes. So now let's talk about what we're doing. So first and foremost, this is not the end of an era. We are not going anywhere. We are still going to be doing all the rally raid stuff. But what I want to do, and what we've been talking about, and it was actually Nathan from Countershocks that tagged me in a post where they were talking about the racing series, the Score International Racing Series, and the racing down in Baja on motorcycles. And while the numbers have been dwindling a little bit and going down, it's actually on an upswing, and more people are starting to join in and are enjoying the racing and the scenery down there and everything that Baja has to offer as the numbers grow a little bit. And of course, with that, there's growing pains. There's things that, previously had changed and that, maybe seeing their way back, which we'll get a chance to talk to people about that. But With that, being said, I had a great conversation with Andy Kirker from the Score International series. And he is the moto liaison for the series and the competitors. So it was really a really good chat. We talked a lot about some of the safety things that have been happening and some of the updates and things like that. Which we're gonna have him on the show. We're gonna talk again about that. Previously, we had him when they were looking at doing some rally hybrid stuff, which I have an idea for that, and we're always working towards that. I got a few things in the fire, but I got to say that we'll be right back to the Score stuff and the back to Baja. But it was kind of interesting. The other day, I was in the garage and I'm working on the motorcycle and on Project 501. And I ordered a set of graphics. Unfortunately, the graphics that I had from Scrub Designs, they, on the one side, I ripped them up with my boot and pants. And I said, my OCD is like, well, I'd like to have a set of clean graphics. So if I ever take the bike somewhere, if we're doing a rally party or something like that, I have the bike with some clean graphics on it, that are just, it's like the show stuff. And I'm a little bit of an investment, but it's my OCD. Anyway, so I'm going through this. I get to the point where I'm literally on the last panel and applying the sticker to the panel, the graphics, and I'm thinking, I've ran out of things to do on the bike. I've reached the end of the list of things that I wanted to do. The finishing touches was the clutch. The bike was taken care of. It was used, but it was very well taken care of. I said, I haven't actually put my eyes on the clutch to see what it looks like. And I mean, the thing looked like brand new. I was looking at the rubber dampers, for those that are familiar with the Huskies and the KTMs that use that dampening, those rubber dampeners on the clutch hub. I wanted to physically check those, make sure everything was good. I have had a clutch from Recluse, their torque drive clutch. So it's the same height or the same as the stock clutch as far as discs and metals go, that type style. It's not the auto clutch, but the plates are a little bit thinner and they actually put an extra friction in there. So went through, got all of that, set it up, put the Blice 7-ounce flywheel weight, new Recluse cover on the thing, and had to take it apart a couple times, just to make sure everything had clearance and that we were good. And then done, and I was talking to Gnarly Day the other day. It's like, it was kind of weird. It's kind of that weird feeling, the 790, I literally just finished the same thing. I got all of this stuff on it, put the stickers on it, the final graphics from Scrub Designs. And all right, I'm like, okay, well, I guess now I'm going to have to ride it, because for those of you that have been keeping up with me for a while now, that I wrench more on my bikes than I ride them. So we're looking to change that. And so got that all done, and I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, so those bikes are done. It's an infinite error. So now we're talking about what bike, what is happening in the Score series and how things are going to be growing, and I feel like we can all benefit from, we can talk to some of these racers in a different discipline. We're not leaving the rally side of things. I'm working on, specifically with Project 501, working on some shorter stuff that will help, finishing that up. Now that I've finished the bike, it's going to be a little bit easier to get out and do that. Also doing some road books on the bigger adventure bike. There's things there, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff going on with that. But anyway, back to Baja. So the idea behind it and what I want to do is, let's take some time to meet some other racers, some of the other competitors that got into racing. And for those of you that are into the rally sport, we want to be into the rally sport. That's what we want to do. Some of these guys, as you'll hear in the first interview that we already recorded with Seth Barnes, it's coming up this Sunday. You're going to hear some of the stuff that they're looking forward to, and amongst those is to actually get into rally raid and go and do, like, say, the Sonora Rally. We talked about Sonora Rally offline. We talked about the Baja Rally and rally schools and doing that kind of stuff. These guys are talking about going out with Jimmy Lewis. So we're not abandoning the rally thing. So I want to make that very, very, very clear. The next few episodes, we're going to be talking to some of the Baja guys, but we'll tie some of the rally stuff in there because, I've seen them out there, so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get through it. But that is what's coming up. I am reaching out and we are talking to both sides of the fence on this. And by that, I mean, both the guys that, the non-factory teams, which for those of you playing the home game, the factory team setup left some time ago with Johnny Campbell Racing, JCR, being formed. The Honda factory team down in Baja, it changed a little bit. Instead of it being Honda factory, it was a factory-backed privateer team that ended up, kind of replacing that. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to them. I believe it's Mark Samuel's crew. There's a lot of big competitive teams that have been doing Baja for a lot of years that have proven successful. And we want to talk to them. We want to talk to them and find out a little bit of, what made them successful. So, because to me, the way I see it is that the type of racing that gets done here in the States, as far as, or in North America for us, in Mexico specifically, and the United States, it's a rougher type, more sprint type. I want to really say that it's brutal compared to some of the other racing that's out there. You have the GP stuff over across the pond. That stuff's brutal. It's a combination of, I guess you could say it's like a combination of motocross and just open desert. I don't want to really say open desert. It's just like a really big motocross track. What our motocross stuff is out here, outdoor. So there's definitely some differences there, but nothing I don't think really compares to it. I mean, if you really look at it, to me, as far as moto goes, there's really two bucket list races, and that's the Dakar Rally and there is the Baja 1000. Those are the two major ones. And this year, Baja 1000, right, starting in Cabo San Lucas and working its way up to the border, in Ensenada. So that's going to be a little bit different. Or I'm not sure. I have to go back and look if it's Cabo or La Paz. But starting the opposite end is starting at the bottom of the peninsula, and then the racers are going to be racing quote unquote home, which will be nice. It'll be a little bit different for the racers that live down there and that I got to fly up here and then race to home. Now it's the other way around. So we'll see. We'll see how that one shakes down. But there's a lot of great stories out there. The racing is very, very intense. It's very tight, especially in the pro teams. Up at the top, I know there's a little bit of some rivalry going on there, and some some competitiveness. It always is, and there always will be. Anytime you could, we've talked about this before in the groups and stuff like that. Is if you get a group of people together on motorcycles, somebody's going to want to be the first one to the camp. It is what it is. It's just gonna be that way. And it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to be leading, and by how much that gap is, who knows? But you put a bunch of guys together, or a bunch of people together on motorcycles, and someone wants to be first, and so that's okay. It's part of it. It's racing. In this case, out there. Not that we condone racing on the streets or a more spirited type of riding that is above the posted speed limits. None of that, please. But, I think that it's worthy to explore it a little bit. The way that these bikes are built, which is something that I am really curious about. It's a lot of the stuff that I learned is from seeing bikes being built, and the majority of them were here in Baja. And how things are put together, what components do what, those kind of things. And I want to see more of that, and I want to find out more about how are these bikes put together, the suspension, the things like that, because I believe that this transfers over into the rally raid side of things. These guys send these bikes so hard out there in the rally raid world. It's a slightly heavier bike than the typical Baja race bike, and by slightly I mean significantly, especially when you throw the 8 gallons of fuel at it. But if you really think about it, how much of this, is it really that's maybe no. When you have the entire Austrian team testing in Barstow or testing out in the Southern California desert, yeah, that says something. You know, the terrain that's out here is rough, beat up, you know, and if you could prepare the bike to do well on that, then the smooth fire road, fast stuff that we normally see in the Dakar, which isn't necessarily the norm, will definitely be a little better. You know, there are some slight changes, obviously, in suspension, but, you know, you want to make sure that the bike is working at best it can, and you want to go to the terrains, the places where you know that it would be the most challenging. And so, you know, the Southern California desert is where a couple of the teams decide to, not just the Austrian teams. So that's what we're looking forward to. So that's what the Back to Baja stuff is going to be about, is just talking to some of the race teams down there, talking a little bit more, bringing some awareness to the sport and how these guys got into it. We had a great conversation with Seth Barnes for this first episode coming up on Sunday about, you know, how they got into it, his experience down in Baja and how it went, which was his first experience down in Baja, which is awesome. So you guys will hear a little bit more about that. Tune in for that one. Again, it'll be this Sunday at 10 a.m. That will be out and ready for the world. Then we got a couple of other people. I did get a couple of messages yesterday, but it's been a little tough to get back. Work's been a little bit crazy, and, you know, and the side gig stuff. So with that being said, I think we're going to be ready to get this series kicked off and all of these updates. We'll keep you guys updated as I hear the news and get that. And then we will get you guys some more information. So who should we get on the show? Who do you guys think? What's a good one? Send me a message on Instagram, and let's find out, you know, who would you like to hear from on the show? This could be in the Rally Raid world, or this could be in the Baja world, and let's see what we come up with. But I think this is going to be a great series. I've already talked to a couple of people actually reached out already, and that are ready to go. Like, they want to get their story out there. They want to help grow the sport back down here, back in Baja. So let's see what we can do with that. Anyway, with that being said, I got to get back to it. Remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.